Hello, what's happening, people? I hope you're good. Welcome to Gibber and Rish TV. I am Gibber, and Rish is not here because she's not feeling well. She has some flu. I hope it's not the coronavirus. So yeah, today's episode is me answering questions that Rish and other Christians want to know from atheists, and she sent me some questions that I'm going to be reading and answering them here. But before we begin, I want to thank Gerenuk Company Limited and Gerenuk Photography because of this video.
Weird, absurd, diverse, societal views with a pint of humor. This is Gibber and Rish.
So the first question she asked is, what is the origin of life? It is not the creation story. The origin of life has been explained by scientists to have been from, very simple components up to the complex structures that we have right now, all the way from simple life forms that existed from the Big Bang, and then up to recently when we have things that we think as complex structures like ourselves. And then she's asking me to dispute the several theories that there are. Out of the theories that there are of creation, out of the theories that there are of the origin of life, the scientific theory is more plausible, it's more believable than the creation theory, because whereas the creation theory does not explain how things came to be, the scientific theory tells of how the processes have evolved from simple to complex. So why would you call the search of a higher being futile? Because it is futile to look for a deus ex machina to come and save us as mankind. I think instead of looking for a higher being, we should be looking within ourselves and see how we can solve problems that face us as humans, rather than expecting, say, help from heavenly beings and celestials and all that stuff, which to my knowledge have not been proven to exist. And don't you think that there are a lot of assumptions to numericals consisting what scientists call tangible evidence? Assumptions to numericals, and assumptions, I would say that assumptions are the basis of every kind of knowledge. When you're trying to know something, the first step is assuming, right? So, and if you look at it, which one has more assumptions, religion or science? Of course, religion is the biggest assumption, because first of all, it assumes that there is a God, which is the biggest assumption of all. But when you go to science, the more scientific you get, the lesser the assumptions. And the good thing with science is that these assumptions are, if they are disproven over time, the scientists embrace the new theory and do away with the old one. So yeah, kind of 50-50, but one has more assumptions and the other one less assumptions. So it's not a big deal that you just choose one side. She's saying that the Shroud of Turin is an evidence of the existence of Christ, but you atheists clearly shun it. No, it's not. The Shroud of Turin is not any basis of evidence of the existence of Christ. Even if it were, it wouldn't prove that Christ was, say, the Son of God or what they claim to him to be, because it's the shroud of Turin rather is just the cloth that he supposedly was crucified wearing, and there have been Christian scientists who have tried to use that to prove that Christ was crucified and all that, but evidence has rather shown otherwise, that it's not possible for the shroud to have been the real cloth that Jesus wore. And even if it were proven to be a cloth that Jesus wore, it would explain the existence of Jesus as a man, not as a God, right? A lot has been used to explain, including the Holy Grail, including the crown of thorns, right? And the supposedly foreskin of Christ. people like Dross bringing up such things just to prove the existence of Christ. Anyway, moving on swiftly, she asked, how can you be moral without believing in God? Never ask me that. Rish, never ask me that, because, you know, morality is not tied to religion, sadly. You know, every social, or rather every society has its own way of doing things, and we draw morals from experiences, from human experiences, you know, with other human beings. We don't have to draw morals from a religious book, alright? I am an atheist, I don't have to be moral. I don't go killing people because I know it's bad. The difference between bad and good is clearly drawn in my mind from experience. I don't have to go amok killing, or in a killing spree, or, you know, because I don't believe in God. If you are moral simply because you believe in God, that will be blackmailing God, because you're just believing because you want to go to heaven, which is blackmail. Why would you want to blackmail God? Be good, not because you want to go to heaven. Be good because being good is good, right? Yeah, never ask me that question again, or I will eat your baby. Another question is, how do you give your life meaning and purpose? Is an atheist life void? No, it's not. An atheist life is not void. There are a lot of things that give life purpose, and you know, atheism just makes you appreciate life more. And instead of, you know, spending a lot of time thinking about an eternity or an afterlife, you focus on the current life. So your life, you get more meaning from life than if you were a believer, because, you know, most believers have this weird philosophy that this world is not our home, this life is temporary. No, for an atheist, it's the converse. So this world is our home, this life is all we have. You create your own meaning from whatever you like. Moving on. Doesn't it take just as much faith to be an atheist as it does to believe? I mean, according to the many assumptions. No, it doesn't take as much faith to be an atheist as it does to be a believer, because, you know, in atheism there are no creeds, and, you know, there's no going to church or to places of worship. There's no bowing to people and giving tithes and all that. So, you know, those are just some of the facts that are absent from, you know, in atheism. And atheism is simply the lack of belief. So from the very etymological definition of the word atheism, so it takes no faith at all. You just don't believe in that stuff. No energy at all. You you don't. The other question is, how would you address the fact that most religious people think that an atheist has gone through a painful experience for him or her not to believe? Yeah, I get this question a lot. What happens to you in your childhood? Are you in good terms with your father? Of course I am in good terms with my father. He's a good guy. I'm in good terms with my family. Nothing painful happens to my life, but I see a lot of pain in the world and a lot of suffering in the world, and it's part of why I am an atheist, because if God is good and he allows such kind of suffering, and, you know, he cannot be powerful then. So it's one of the reasons people become atheists, but it does not have to do with a person's personal experience, alright? You don't have to undergo trauma to stop believing. You know, there are people who've just read the Bible and they have realized, wow, this thing is not going well. So it's not necessarily it's not all bad. It's not about bad things happening. Sometimes it's when a good thing happens to you and you know, you stop believing. The other question is, what do you think, according to atheism and philosophy, that man's greatest problem is as sin is to religion? You know, okay. So sin is just, you know, in religion you have sin, in atheism and philosophy you have good and bad. In religion you have sin and, you know, saints and sinners. It's simply the same thing sugar-coated with heavenly terms. Like, you know, sin is what is sin anyway? Sin is just bad deeds that have been blamed on a single celestial being, who is the devil. So if a human being murders another human being, that would be sinful. But if you don't believe in the concept of sin, that would be bad. Alright? So where there is sin, replace with bad. Where there is saint, replace with good. So you can be good without necessarily being a saint. You can be bad without having sinned. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, just don't be bad. To a philosopher, strive to do good, right? And that applies to an atheist as well. Don't you think that the Big Bang Theory is just the response of let there be light? In the beginning there was the word, and the word was kaboom. That was Big Bang Theory, right? So the Big Bang Theory vis-a-vis let there be light, which one would you believe? Which one gives more explanation? One is just the word of mouth, let there be light. The other one is an explanation of events that took place, alright? Which one is more believable? The Big Bang Theory, of course, because let there be light is not sufficient evidence to prove that there actually was light. If I were to tell you that I will give you money, alright, but I did not explain the process through which I will get you the money, if you required me to explain, then I would not be more believable than, say, someone who told you that, you know, I will do a voice-over, because that's what I do, and then get paid, and when I get paid, I'll give you the money, right? Which one is more believable? The one that explains how things happen. So to a scientist, it's all about explaining how things happen, and to a believer, it's just things happened. Yeah, let there be light, you know, and there was light. Yeah, they should have said this, struck a fire box of, you know, matchsticks or something, in order for there to be light. We just know light does not just come out of nowhere. As every other literature book, don't you think the Bible has the poetic and artistic right to be metaphoric and yet direct as the works of other language champions? Comparing the Bible and literature, so the Bible has the right to be poetic and artistic and metaphoric. So what she's trying to say is that it's not all about the literal meaning of the Bible. Exactly. So why do some of you take it so literally after all? But then again, the Bible itself is so contradictory, so it even says do not remove or change the word, any of the word in that book. So, you know, if they intended it to have that specific message that they brought, why would you change in your own, you know, literary view or something of that sort? So it has every right. And if a lot of Christians accepted that maybe the Bible is just a book like any other and it's not to be read taken word for word, then there would be less hatred amongst people, you know, people hating on gays and homosexuals and all those things that are very weird in the Bible. Don't take it literally. Please, read it for fun. The final question is, African atheists believe that Christianity was a mzungu charade to colonize the African man. Then why is there a lot of spread of the same in the West and Middle East as compared to just Africa? I think Africa is the most religious continent when it comes to Christianity. Christianity is very rife in Africa as compared to, say, other continents, and this is because what they say could be true, and I actually think it's true that those who brought Christianity to us did not have the good motive of it being just a religion. They had to use it to also for colonization purposes. So they colonized the mind first, and then they took over our land and minerals. But again, you know, it's their story. It's the Jewish creation story. It's the story of the Jews. So it ought to spread among us the, you know, the countries that subscribe to such Israel and all that. So we cannot blame it for spreading to those places. And when you do a research about the same, you'll realize that even those countries that started as very religious at first have soon gone to become irreligious, and now we have countries like China which are like 90% are atheists of the population. And so I think with time also Africa will get to the point where a lot of the Africans will be emancipated or liberated or any other word you choose, but they will overcome religion, and they will realize that this is just their story, and we had our own stories like the Ubuntu story. Every community had its own origin story. It doesn't necessarily mean that they were true. So just because it was theirs and it spread fast does not mean that it's true, right? Have you heard of rumors that spread very fast but they are not true? There are such things. The Chinese whispers tells of such a story. So yeah, those are the questions that you know, Rish had about atheists. If you have any question about atheism and religion, leave it on the comment section below and I will be answering your questions. Otherwise, thank you very much for being a Gibber and Rish TV fan. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. Until next time, bye bye.